Hi, my name is Rodney Jefferson, and I'm with Premier Insurance in Flint, Michigan. And I'd like to talk briefly today about a PL&PD auto insurance policy. My agency is in a position now where we're noticing an increase in the number of PLPD policies that we're doing in our office. And this is mainly due to the fact that there are a number of government agencies as well as programs that are starting to send their people our way. And what I'm finding is that a lot of these individuals are young people who have never had auto insurance in the past. And when they see the cost of their policies as compared to the cost of their automobile, they're surprised at the price that they're going to be paying for their auto insurance. So I'd like to just give some insight as to ways that you may possibly be able to get that lower, as well as advise as to exactly what these individuals are purchasing when they get a PL and PD policy. A lot of folks, when they come to us, they come looking for what they call a no-fault policy. Actually, in the state of Michigan, that term no-fault is the law of the state of Michigan. That's the name of the insurance law. PL and PD is something altogether different. It's just a small portion of that no-fault law. I'm finding that the individuals also come thinking that once they turn age 25, that's going to get them a reduced rate on their policy. On the other end of the spectrum, I have a lot of seniors who feel like the older they get, the less they're going to be paying for auto insurance. Well, those myths are incorrect. The way an insurance underwriter looks at age is the younger the individual, that means that's less experience they have behind the wheel, so they're going to be considered a higher risk. Therefore, their rates are going to be higher. At the other end of the spectrum, the older an individual gets, the underwriter is going to take a look at, okay, this person's reflexes aren't as good, they're not moving as fast, their sight isn't as good. Therefore, they're going to be a higher risk or have a higher likelihood of having an accident than someone in, say, their early to mid 50s. Therefore, their rates would be somewhat higher also. Some other factors that contribute to the cost of the policy is location. Unfortunately, that's just a fact. We do a lot of quotes in southeastern Michigan, Flint. We do a lot of Detroit, Pontiac. We're also starting to see an increase in the number of policies that we're writing up north. We're doing a lot of Muskegon. We're doing policies in the Upper Peninsula. We've done some Port Huron, but we're also seeing quite a few in the Bay City, Midland area. And what we're finding, and it's no surprise to us, is that the rates for the different areas throughout the state of Michigan are significantly different. Flint, Detroit, Saginaw, Pontiac are the hot spots. They have the highest rates in the state. I will go into another discussion on why in a different video, but just pointing out some factors. But if you're in the city of Flint, where we do probably about 40% of our business, you're going to see a higher rate for your insurance than someone, say, in Grand Rapids or Traverse City. Another factor in pricing of insurance is the type of vehicle that you drive. We get a lot of young folks come in with newer vehicles, and unfortunately a lot of them will go out, choose a vehicle, purchase a vehicle without taking a look at the cost of insurance first. We recommend something along the lines of say a truck, their rates are better than the smaller vehicles. The SUVs are popular. The rates are good for those. The smaller cars, we see a lot of Volts, two-door Grand Prix or two-door Grand Dams, and those rates are going to be somewhat higher. As far as the Pontiacs are concerned, those rates tend to run a little bit higher because in most cases those are considered sports cars. So keep in mind the type of vehicle that you're looking at, and price the insurance. We can't recommend that enough. Price the insurance before you commit to a purchase. Another factor in the pricing of the insurance is whether or not the individual has had prior insurance. In the state of Michigan, unfortunately, if you have not had insurance for the past 40 days, when you come back into the insurance program in the state of Michigan, if you haven't had it in the past 40 days, you're going to be considered at higher risk. Therefore, you're going to pay a higher premium. Good thing about that is once you've kept the insurance policy continuously for 6 months, you're able to get out of that high risk pool and into a standard company. And in most cases, you can cut that insurance premium. We don't like to say half, but you'll see a significant dip in the cost of your insurance once you've established that you're going to be keeping that policy going. Now, a little bit about PL and PD and what you're actually getting when you get a PL and PD policy in the state of Michigan. That PL stands for personal liability and PD stands for property damage. The most common PL and PD policy that we sell here in my office, and the reason being is the individuals that we get are oftentimes trying to keep the premium as low as possible. The BI or the PL, personal liability, is usually 20,000, 40,000. And what this means is if you're in an automobile accident, you injure someone, they bring a lawsuit against you, the most that policy would pay out per person would be $20,000. In that same accident, if you were to injure more than one person and all of them were to bring a lawsuit against you, the maximum payout would be that $40,000. This is probably the second most costly coverage on the PL and PD policy, and for good reason, because we're in a society where lawsuits are rampant and you want to have that, and that's mandatory on a PLPD policy anyway. The second part is the property damage, and the most common amount that we do here is $10,000 per accident. And where this would come into play is if you're involved in an accident, you're at fault, you were to damage someone else's property, the maximum that this policy would pay out would be $10,000. An example of this would be if you're driving and you lose control of the vehicle, go up into someone's yard, tear out a fence, tear out a tree, do any type of damage, any type of property damage whatsoever. This is where this particular coverage would come into play, and again, the maximum on this policy would be $10,000. A big item, the most expensive item on any Michigan auto insurance policy is the PIP, or Personal Injury Protection Portion, or PIP. Reason being, in the state of Michigan, being a no-fault state, if you're in an accident, you're injured, you seek medical treatment. In the state of Michigan, those medical bills are to be paid by your auto insurance company. In the state of Michigan, I'm sorry, I was interrupted by a phone call. The personal injury protection is again the most expensive item on the policy. There's a couple different ways that we set the PIP up on the insurance policy. The number one way is if the individual has some other insurance, such as Blue Cross Blue Shield, Blue Care Network, any other insurance that would pay first for medical bills for any type of auto-related medical treatment. The second way is if the insurance company, the auto insurance company, is set up to pay first. That's for the individuals that are on government programs, Medicare, Medicaid, or some Blue Cross policies will not cover auto related medical treatment. In that case, these are more expensive than the coordinated policies, and either way, this is the coverage that adds the most cost to the auto insurance policy. In addition to medical treatment with the PIP, individuals that sustain some type of injury that requires them to have to pay someone to come in and do household chores, um, if they have to be driven around, if they're in need of any type of assistance as far as bathing, clothing, cooking, anything along those lines. There's also line items under the PIP that would pay for that. And the biggest thing with the state of Michigan and what causes it to be one of the, or not one of the, but the most expensive auto insurance state in the country is that these benefits, the personal injury protection or PIP benefits, are for life. That meaning that if an individual is injured and they need this medical treatment and they can prove in most cases that the treatment is as a result of an automobile accident, those bills are taken care of for life, and that can be very expensive. And again, this is what causes the rates to be so expensive. Some optional coverages on the PIP policy would be limited liability or mini tort, limited property damage liability, mini tort. That just means if, say for instance, you're in an automobile accident, you're found not to be at fault in the accident, you could file a lawsuit or file a claim against the other driver's auto insurance company. And in the state of Michigan right now, the maximum that that company would pay out would be up to $1,000. Now, there's some criteria that has to be met in order to get that $1,000. Number one, you have to be not at fault, and that can be proven by a statement by the other driver to their insurance company, or either a police report indicating that you are not at fault. I'm sorry, I was interrupted by another phone call. I thought I could do this while it's quiet. Getting back to the mini tort, three things that are needed. The police report indicating that you're not at fault, an estimate of repairs, so you're going to have to take the vehicle to be seen and get a written estimate for the repairs. And also you're going to need what's called a declaration sheet from your policy that's showing that you did indeed have coverage at the time of the accident. All of this has to be submitted to the other driver's auto insurance company. And in most instances, from what I've seen, they are usually pretty good about getting those checks out. Those are easy claims for them as long as all of the documentation is in. So this was a brief talk about PL and PD auto insurance in the state of Michigan. There are a lot of other points that I could make, but for the sake of time, if you have any questions, feel free to give me a call. My 800 number here is 800-956-8857. If you would like a quote for any type of insurance, not just auto insurance, we also do life insurance, please visit us at www.quotingamerica.com. And again, my name is Rodney Jefferson. I'm the agent owner here. Be more than happy to help you and your family out in any way that we can. Again, our number here in Flint, 810-789-2222 throughout the state of Michigan. We also service the state of Ohio. Please feel free to call us toll free again at 800-956-8857. Thank you, and we wish you a very prosperous day.